again another Motivity's video release notes. As you can see, things are a little different this month. I am in Nuremberg, Germany, and I'm joined by our VP of Product, Raul Nemes, and you are in Calgary, Alberta. Is that right?
Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Nice. So we're going to change it up a little bit with these video release notes, try something a little different because now we have to tell you all about our practice management updates as well. So these might get a little longer. And to be honest, I want a little bit of company. So today we're going to start with our clinical updates. We're going to go into practice management. We're going to try this out and see if this is a little better. Let's dive right into it. So first things first, Raul, we've added learner groups part of session time export.
We have, Brian. And before I get into that, thanks for having me. It's really fun to be here, and
Anytime.
I look forward to doing these with you. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about all the great things that we've been doing on the product side at Motivity. I've been working behind the scenes with my team on making sure that we can keep delivering more valuable improvements and enhancements to the product. And again, I appreciate the opportunity to tell everybody about them. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, super excited. And I think we got a lot of expanding to do with this. We can include more and more people as we go. And I think this would be a really cool insight to the things that we're building.
Right on. So yeah, let's jump into it. You asked about learner groups. We added learner groups to the session time export. So a lot of our customers are using our CSV exports to drive a lot of their analytics within their organization. And we understand that the way you look at your numbers is a bit of the secret sauce behind how you run your practice. So we want to make sure that we give you as much information as we can to let you slice and dice and crunch the numbers in any way that makes sense for you. So by adding the learner groups to the session time export, you can now look at very specific learner groups if you want to drill down and see how they're doing together, or you can compare groups against each other if that's important to your practice. Now that information is there, go ahead and crunch numbers however it makes sense for you.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really nice. Next on the list, we're adding even more diagnosis codes. It seems like we add at least 2, 3, 4, 8 every month. I'm doing diagnosis codes on here, so we've added some more.
That's right, and we will continue to do that. So we've added 2. So F89.0, unspecified disorder of psychological development, and R45.87, impulsiveness. Now, I don't know if everybody knows how diagnosis codes work, but they're part of this list called the ICD-10 list, and they are a set of codes for every diagnosis we know about. And it's a very long list. It's thousands upon thousands of codes. If we were to add that whole list in there to be complete and give everyone access to all of the codes, it would make it difficult to find the one that you really need. So we really want to focus on the list that is the most relevant, the most important to our customers. So that's why we add them kind of one by one as people ask for them. And by keeping that list short, the other thing that we do is we minimize the risk of human error when they're choosing the diagnosis code. If you had to pick from a list of 10,000 or search for the right one, you couldn't remember it. That would be a little bit more difficult. So we want to keep it focused. We want to keep the list as short as possible and really relevant to what our customers need. That's why we add them. Onesies, twosies.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, we keep adding them and people keep requesting them and we keep knocking it out of the park every month. So yeah. All right. Next, I want to jump to some feature library improvements. We've done a few of these over the last couple months, and it seems like we're doing some reorganizing. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So if you've been on Motivity for any length of time, you know that we don't just give you a blank slate to start from. We've done a lot of work over the many years that we've been around. Specifically, our clinical team has done a lot of work in curating the best templates that are out there for programs and for notes. And focusing on our program templates, we've started reorganizing the content in preparation for addition of a lot of new program templates as well. So there's 2 things going on here. The first one is we want to make it a lot easier to digest the vast amount of content that's in Motivity right now. Some of the
Yeah.
feedback that we've gotten from our customers is that when they go into the program libraries, it's overwhelming at the beginning. There's
Mm-hmm.
just so much there. And they kind of turn away and they go and try to make stuff themselves. And then they realize, well, hold on. I've spoken to my customer support representative. They've directed me back to the libraries. Let me go dig a little more. And they start digging and they discover a treasure trove of program libraries, of program
Yeah.
templates for everything they really need. And the templates are structured in two different groups. Ones that are very specific to the clinical outcome that you're trying to achieve, right? So it could be as simple as, a template for tying shoelaces or brushing teeth, right? Or
Right.
maintaining eye gaze or whatever it is. And then we have other sets of templates that are for the clinical method, right? So general templates for task analysis, for example. So when people discover these, they realize that actually that there's a lot less effort that they have to put into creating their own programs because they've got a wonderful starting point.
Mm-hmm.
We want to continue delivering that piece of value to our customers. And as we work with our entire community, we're able to curate and bring that content into Motivity and make it available to the community. In order to do that, though, we want to make sure that things are easier to find, which is why we've restructured the program template libraries, focusing on groups that are more easily recognizable. So if you're doing a behavior program, you're going to see a library for behavior programs, right? If you're helping a kiddo become more independent, you're going to see, maybe you start in the daily living skills library. So by naming and grouping these things together in smaller groups should be easier to find the really, really valuable stuff or the stuff that you need right now.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, there's a lot of content there, and it keeps growing, and it keeps growing. Do we know how many programs we have in our libraries? It's got to be in the thousands, right?
It's in the thousands. I don't know the
Yeah.
exact number, and we're constantly adding more. We actually just released another one that I'll tell you about. We released a set of programs for cognitive skills / executive functioning. And this includes programs that are going to really enhance cognitive skills and executive
Mm-hmm.
functioning, focusing on attention, memory, problem solving, planning, impulse control, and all of these things that are necessary for effective communication, effective daily life, they're just, helping kiddos grow.
Yep. Awesome. Awesome. Really good stuff.
This is the
Oh,
first of many
sorry.
behind the scenes we're working on a lot more.
Mm. For libraries, for library
That's right.
templates, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then lastly, on the clinical side, we got some bug fixes. We've been squashing bugs and how you say it, sweating the small stuff. Tell me about some of the.
That's right. We go bug hunting and offing the nits, as I like to call it. The things that really just they get in your side, and they just kind of wear away at you. We don't like to let this kind of stuff build up because they add up and they can have a big effect. Individually, they're not, they're maybe little annoyances, but together they start to wear away at our users. So we're constantly removing these. We focused on 4 things this past month. There was an issue where the default text box height in our template builders wasn't settable. So if you wanted multiple lines of text, you could only get one. We've addressed that. The pending notes weren't being sorted properly, so people were having a hard time finding the notes that they needed to take action on. We've addressed that. As part of other changes that were made, the default instrument type when creating a program got changed, and we put that back to pass-fail. That was giving some of our users a pause there, and we released last month or the month before, I can't remember, the ability to filter the pending notes by the title of the note. And it was dependent on a very specific permission. And if you didn't have that permission, you weren't able to do it. So we addressed that as well. So now you can do your filtering. So we're just chipping away at these things that people encounter, and we want to make them non-issues.
Yeah. That's great. Okay, that closes out clinical. Now, practice management. Now we dive into the world of practice management. And this is our first time doing release note updates for practice management, so bear with us. But we're going to hit some of the key highlights. Let's jump into some of the major enhancements. We're going to start with manual compliance rechecks using the sync compliance button.
Yeah, that's right. This is actually a big one. As you know, Motivity's practice management system is a compliance first system. One of the major advantages of being on our system is that we help you set up all of your contracts and all of the administrative information in such a way that we're minimizing downstream errors, right? We want to make sure that everything that makes it to billing is as correct as it can possibly be. So,
Yep.
we don't have any problems with anything downstream. And the way we've been doing that is that we would run the compliance checks overnight, and then we would surface errors about that within a 24-hour time frame. Sometimes that's a bit too long for people to wait. So what we've added is a button that runs the compliance check when you need it. And that means you don't have to wait for the 24 hours. So it really speeds up a lot of your processes and can get you the information right away. If you're checking on the work that people have done, if you're making sure your contracts are set up correctly, all of that, you can now do that instantaneously.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big one for sure. Okay. Excuse me. Enhanced date filters.
Yeah. So
Next on the list.
we know there's a lot of data in ABA, right? And now there's even more data that we've added practice management. So not only are you worried about your clinical data, but now you're starting to think about all your administrative, financial, operational data, et cetera. So when you're trying to sort through all of that data, you need to be able to get to the answers very quickly. And a great way to do that, and as you know, the Motivity system is highly filter based. We've added more filters, date-based filters at various locations. Specifically, you can now filter invoices by the payment date, the date of service, or the invoice date when you're looking at posted invoices in the collections module, right? So depending on what what step in your billing process you're in, you can now find the invoices that are most relevant to you.
Right.
Again, we want to focus on efficiency and making sure that people can get to their answers really quickly. And the success of a practice is defined by consistency and flow, right? We have to do things consistently correct all the time, and we have to make sure things are flowing through the process nice and evenly, so we don't build up a backlog, right?
Yep.
These kinds of filters allow us to enable more operational efficiency within the practice.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Having the data available when you need it in order to filter on it is super, super important. The next one here seems to me like a very important and useful tool. Office level dashboard views.
Yeah, this is huge. This is huge. Basically, what it comes down to is when you're looking at your dashboards, now you can focus on insights specific to an individual office.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in the space of ABA, and mergers and acquisitions is a big part of it. Massive growth is happening. Our customers are growing. They're opening new clinics. Venture capital is buying multiple clinics and putting them under the same umbrella. So it's important to be able to focus on individual locations to understand how they are working and to be able to coordinate what's going on at every individual location. This also makes it easier for growing clinics to minimize their staff because they can start doing this from a central location, right? They don't have to have the same level of administrative personnel at every location now. They can elevate that up. Again, operational efficiency. And that part of that is making sure we have the right people in the right places, but no more than we need. So
Yep.
by giving the ability to filter down to the different locations and look at all locations, you can do that now from a central location, and you can start making decisions on each of the clinics and each of the bricks and mortar locations that you have.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge in the visibility space. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Next on list, enhanced patient ledger. Patient ledger now displays the date of service in the type column for all invoice types.
Yeah. It sounds like a really small thing to make, a date visible, but again, it's about enabling decision making, right? So this is all about doing internal reconciliation, internal auditing, making sure that everything is posted correctly in the ledger based on when the services were done. We all know that the authorization dates really matter, and we have to make sure that everything happens within those dates. So by being able to see the date of service, you're just able to make better decisions about when um, uh, invoices or incoming funds or whatever need to be posted to the ledger or need to be managed. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. We've also added visibility to the place of service codes.
Mm-hmm. Again, this is also part of reconciliation and auditing. We want to make sure that
Mm-hmm.
you know where things were done, right? So being able to know the date of service, being able to know the place of service, all of that is important in managing your outgoing invoices and incoming funds.
Yep. Yep. For sure. And then lastly, we've designed a new daily summary email that is just killer. I think it's
Yeah.
going to be really nice, something we can really add a lot of data and enhancements to make the day-to-day usability of Motivity just that much better.
Yeah, exactly. And this is an email that goes out to the admins. It doesn't go out to absolutely everybody. It goes out to the people that are involved in the operations of the practice, and
Mm-hmm.
it gives critical KPIs about what happened that day.
Mm-hmm.
So it just gives you a heartbeat and a pulse check of what's going on in your practice for the most important measures that you should be tracking. We're proactively sending you that information so that you can keep up to date first and foremost, but also make decisions in the moment if you need to. If you see a problem, you can take action right away. And we're going
Yeah.
to continue as we build out more functionality. Part of our roadmap for, I mean, probably forever, really, is going to be increasing visibility into what's going on in the practice. And that starts with KPIs, analytics, data, and
Yeah.
presenting that in a way that people can, at a glance, tell what's going on with their practice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's super helpful. It's going to be so nice. We have some other improvements. Do you want to go down those?
Yeah, we could. Let's see. Let me take a look. There's been so many; it's hard to remember sometimes what everything that we've done. Um, we've added more validations to when resubmitting invoices, so making sure that they can be resubmitted. We're checking all the things that we need to check on the back end for that. And then we've done a number of user experience improvements throughout the user interface. So the menus are some of the menus were collapsing when you navigated away. Now they stay open. We've got clear visual flows through some of our workflows. Um, we've done some performance improvements to the reports to make sure that the data is being shown much faster. Again, operational improvement. Get me the data. We want to make sure that you've got access to the data right away and you're not waiting for
Yeah.
it. Um, and then we've added some annotations and guides to the users throughout the application to make it a little easier to understand. And this is all part and parcel with hunting down the nits and making these small incremental improvements to get rid of these things that are bothering people.
Yeah. Love it. That's it. That's the end of my list. Did we forget anything? Is that all
I'm
of it?
sure we did. I'm sure we did. Yeah, I can tell you we did for sure. Um,
Yeah.
and if it comes up, we'll tell you about it next month. So stay
Yeah,
tuned.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, thanks everyone. Thanks for joining. This is obviously a little bit longer form release notes, but hopefully it gives you a little bit of insight as to what we're building, why we're building it, when it's coming out, how it works, all that good stuff. We will catch you here, same time, same place next month. See you then.